Yes, how about the other two? Maybe they're on mute. That happens all the time with teleconferences. You've been talking along and like nobody heard a thing you said. Okay, so we are going to get started. This presentation is about WIC Farmers Market, Senior Farmers Market, the SNAP Farmers Market, as well as an EBT program that USDA is helping to support. I am going to talk about the WIC and the Senior Farmers Market side, and then I'll hand over the presentation to our guests. And so let's start off with introductions first. So my name is Erin. I am familiar with a few of you. I may know some of your names, just not your faces. I am based out of Juneau. The only time they let me out of the office is, when I have to go monitor farmers, and luckily I was able to convince them to let me come here. I did not show them pictures of this place because they were like, wait a minute. So, I'm very glad to see you all. I am very fortunate to get this opportunity. So far, it's only 1 o'clock, 1:30, and we've already made so much progress, I feel like. So congratulations to everybody. I'm pretty sure you're all going to walk away with a win on this one. So a little background on me. I grew up in Washington, central Washington, agricultural hub of Washington. Love farmers markets. It was a staple of my childhood, staple of my adulthood even, the little bit that I've had. And some friends and family members own farms. I myself never did farming, but I appreciate what the farmer does. My belly appreciates it too. So I can, walk down the street, pick an apple off the tree. I got so sick off of eating cherries. Every summer, I would get so sick. Our whole family, we'd have this 20-gallon bag of cherries, and we'd demolish it all within about an hour and a half. Just fresh cherries are just yum. Anyway, I came up here to Alaska in 2009 to drive tour buses, which I still do part-time because it's super fun. Seeing people from India come down and realize that I am their bus driver, that's fun. I had one guy refuse to get on my bus because I was a woman. The mom and kids were already on the bus, they refused to get off, so that So anyway, I started working for the state and working for retirement benefits. Got bored with that. Then came to WIC, where I've been ever since, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So we are going to start. Go ahead and enter or space. There is space. So if you can all see this, and I know I'm going to be in someone's way here. So the farmers market for WIC was created in 1992 by Congress. A couple years later, they figured, farmers market was being a success. So let's see what happens when we offer coupons to seniors. So in 2001, the Senior Farmers Market program started. The goals of both programs is to increase consumption of fresh fruits, vegetables, and herbs by low-income seniors and WIC recipients, and to expand the awareness, use of, and sales at farmers markets. So basically, I'm a representative that is trying to bring you customers, trying to increase the amount of fresh, locally grown produce that our low-income neighbors are eating. So as the state office, we apply every year. It's an annual process that I do. It's basically a grant request. Our program could, die from year to year, but with the support of the farmers, with the demand from our participants, our program continues. And my goal is to increase it, and I'll go over that here in a second. But I'm kind of a one-woman show, to be honest, for the WIC Farmers Market and the Senior Farmers Market. So what I am responsible for doing is creating and authorizing farmers, direct sales farmers, managing all the financials. So I get an admin budget, I get a food budget, I have to, create application packets, I have to, produce some posters for farmers to display, identifying themselves as an authorized farmer. I have to produce nutrition education pieces and all that kind of stuff. Right now is my busy time, getting prepped for June 1st to roll around. I'm also in charge of making sure the benefits get distributed. So we've got 14 local agencies across the state for WIC that distribute coupons. And we also have between 25 and 30 senior distribution sites across the state. So those could be activity centers, senior centers, low-income senior housing, that kind of thing. I also am in charge of making sure nutrition education is provided. Nutrition education is probably the foundation of our programs. We're not like SNAP. You can't just go use your benefits for whatever. It has to be nutritionally based. So the WIC program has specific foods that you can buy with your benefits. Then that's a main difference between us and SNAP. So we also do program promotions, trying to get the program to grow, trying to reach out to more farmers. That's exactly why I'm here. And also grant writing, like I mentioned. And last year, to give you an idea of how many people we served, for farmers market, for the WIC recipients, it was just under 10,000. 10,000 mothers, infants, and children. For senior farmers market, we reached about 2,500. That can grow a lot, and I'm working on that. So, made some notes. There's been a lot of talk, so I'm trying to incorporate other things that people have said already. So we can go on to the next. And if Will was here, I'd crack a joke, but I don't think he's here. So I had a baby, you know. So I had the babies. This little guy's my son. He's eating a tomato I brought home from the Tanana Valley Farmers Market. He's eating that in Juneau. I brought back the box full of stuff. We don't have a farmers market really in Juneau. So how do we succeed? So there's multiple layers here. We do rely heavily on our WIC agencies and our senior distribution sites. They are the first contact that people have, and they are our advocates. You know, some of them are better than others at promoting it within their community, suggesting that someone apply to get benefits and whatnot. And then we also work with the farmers, you know, you guys. We need you in order to make this happen, and you need us, I would like to think. The reimbursements, one of you doesn't have your phone on mute. We can hear paper rustling, by the way. Wait, I didn't mean hang up. Okay. Anyway, so as far as the reimbursement process, for WIC Farmers Market, it's all electronic. You just give us your banking information at the start, and you submit the coupons to your bank, and bada boom, you got money in your pocket. For the senior farmers market, it's a little different. It's a different funding source. It's funded by the Farm Bill versus WIC is the Child Nutrition Act. So it's run as two different programs. However, the authorization is done. You know, I'm doing both, so I can combine them. But those coupons have to be mailed in to one of two reimbursement sites, and they each cut physical checks. Welcome back. They cut physical checks every 2 weeks or so. We try to make it easy. And then again, the foundation of our program is nutrition education. You as farmers, you know your food best. So we would like to rely a little bit on you and your interaction with your customers. And there are customers too. So when you've got a WIC participant, you know, using the coupons, feel free to offer them some education. Feel free to, you know, give them ideas on how to use it. Some of these folks have never seen a carrot, have never tasted a tomato. So that's a good opportunity for you to build that relationship and get them coming back. I was at the Tanana Valley Farmers Market, and I talked to someone who I saw had a coupon in their back pocket. I was like, yes, I'm going to go talk to them. So they said that they come back to the market and go to the same farmer every year because they're comfortable with that person. They know they're not getting judged for using public assistance. They know the process. They feel comfortable. So you have the capability of creating new relationships and returning customers, and I think that's fantastic, and I think you guys would agree, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, that's about all I had for that slide. So let's talk money. Last year, we put in, this is all federal dollars, $156,965 back into Alaska, back into pockets like yours. For Senior Farmers Market, I can't break it down by region. I have the capability, but that'll take a little bit more work. I might do that this year. But, so our farmers in, the Mat-Su area, Anchorage, Kenai, the Southeast, they all send their coupons to the United Way. So all that region, they paid out about $36,450 to farmers in those areas, just for the Senior Farmers Market program. And then everywhere else, Fairbanks, Bethel, Dillingham, that kind of thing, was about $5,900. And again, this is just for Senior Farmers Market. So when you get into WIC, there's a little bit more money in there. So the Muni of Anchorage, obviously, our biggest one, that's where our population is, and that's where a lot of the produce gets sold. To give you an idea, the titles that I have here are our local WIC agencies. So RCPC, the 21,000, and TCC, the 8,000, they're all based in Fairbanks. So that's the Fairbanks region. Search is Southeast. YKHC, obviously that's the Bethel area, so that's about 335. And right now, we only have one farmer in Bethel. Tim Myers. Mm-hmm. So basically, you can know that he got $335 from us. For AFS, the 37,000, that's Wasilla, Palmer, Kenai Peninsula.
What's the agency?
Alaska Family Services. Does anybody have any questions on those? Do you guys like seeing those numbers? Do you think numbers can be increased somewhere?
They seem low.
They seem low? In what area?
Well, I'm search, so yeah.
Okay.
We could definitely.
Yeah, we'll work.
Yeah.
How do the clients get turned on to applying? Like how?
So for WIC or seniors?
Either one. Oh, yeah.
Seniors, they, if they visit senior centers or live in these housing distribution sites that have reached out to me already to get set up for it. This year, I'm kind of skipping ahead here, going to work with the CSFP program, the Community Supplemental Food Program. Is that what it's called, right? They basically serve the same people we would. To qualify for CSFP, you also qualify for the Senior Farmers Market. So we're going to expand out that way. They're going to get a flyer with their box in June. So when they get those box, they get that flyer. They say, hey, that's running right now. Let's go get some coupons. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Two questions.
Mm-hmm.
How many people does this money represent?
As far as
Like how many
Families.
How many families or children or however it's,
well, on a previous slide,
and what's
so
the income?
these for farmers market we served about
10,000.
10,000. Senior farmers market about 25. And what was the second part of your question?
What's sort of the income?
It's based on the federal poverty guidelines. So it's what, like 185% or something. So it is income based on how many people you have per household, that kind of thing. Yes.
On the senior farmers market, how come there are only 2 locations or 2?
Those are the reimbursement agencies. They're technically grantees of the state. So ideally, I would just have one because that would make my job easier. I wouldn't have to, communicate and have 2 different grants to administer. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Does the Copper Valley, is that under Valdez as well? Or is that only Valdez and Cordova?
That's a very good question. I think either could distribute coupons, I think.
Okay.
All right. So let me know, or raise your hand when you catch my error here. So my goals for 2017 for farmers market is to focus on increasing the average redemption per WIC participant. So each WIC participant gets $25 every season, and the season runs from June 1st through the end of October. I do make it I try to make it as clear as possible that they should not wait until October. Even though the coupons are valid till October, who has produce in October? Couple. But for their purposes, I try to encourage them to use them by, say, mid-September. That's when all the markets start shutting down, things start happening, weather gets colder. So if I can focus on increasing the average redemption value, and that means overall, that 156,000 could jump significantly. So that's my goal. I'm trying to focus more on the individual, not, a big picture, trying to narrow it down. So if anybody in this room has ideas of how to increase a redemption by, say, the specific individual or the specific mom of 3 kids, I want to hear them.
So are you saying they get $25 per season, like a family or a person would get that, but they're not spending all of that?
Yep, some of them are.
And that's for both WIC and the senior coupons? Like, a WIC coupon would be $25, a senior coupon would be $25?
They actually come 5 coupons, each worth $5.
But it's the same amount?
Right, same amount. So seniors and white persons get the same
That's
amount.
all they get?
Do they get that per child though?
They do. Each individual,
Right.
so an infant, ages 4 ounces, 4 months older, children and mothers. They all get $25.
So the mom gets it too?
Mm-hmm.
How often?
They get issued the $25 at one time. And I try to get the sites, the coupons, say mid-May. So they have the option of starting to distribute them mid-May as soon as they get them. Some agencies wait until July. This came up in another session, that some would recommend waiting until July when most produce
But
is
they only
available.
get it once for the whole summer.
Yeah, but they have 5 coupons that they can choose to space out the whole summer. They don't have to use them all at once.
You said 4 months and older, is there an age limit? Is there a top?
WIC only serves up to age 5.
Okay, so 4 months to 5 years.
Mhm.
My feeling about that is that if somebody gave me $5 to spend at the farmer's market, I'd kind of go, let's see, is it really worth it to go down there to buy a $5 feed? Because we all know that that's a possibility. So I can see why, I didn't realize it was that limited. $100 for the summer would make sense, but $25 for the summer?
But it's
In-
free
in-
money.
For $50
It's
face.
free money, but it costs you money to haul those kids somewhere to redeem
Well,
that
it depends on where you
coupon.
live.
Yeah, and prices do fluctuate. $5 in Anchorage can buy you one thing, but go to Glen Allen, it might be a little different.
Yeah, in our town, that makes a huge difference.
It is a federal program, and we are maxed out on how much we can issue to each individual.
But still, that's like per family, if you're a mom with a kid,
Mhm.
that's $50.
Right.
If you have one
You have
child,
more than, so if you're, so it's more than,
it could be.
To the market.
So it makes sense that the seniors are lower.
yeah.
Spend it in one trip.
Yes.
I know, sorry, I don't know if this is off topic, but I know in my town, when people came to the farmer's market, like my friends, like it's very comfortable to use WIC coupons at our farmer's market and in town. It's not, there's no stigma attached to it, and so,
Good.
which is great. And so people come, and we unfortunately can't accept staff yet, and so I remember our friends just being like, yeah, they just sent me $50, like that's amazing, and they were able to just come use it. Whereas we tried a little bit of effort to get it into the seniors' hands, and we have a huge senior population in our town, and so we should be getting a huge response from that. But I don't feel like maybe it's lack of understanding, but I don't feel like it was that same feeling of like someone just handed me free money in the mail. It was like we had to do some advocacy work. And is there a reason why like the mothers were just like receiving those WIC coupons, and then the seniors we had to like have a person from the senior center at the farmers market trying to hand it to seniors? Or
It's different methods of distribution for each program.
okay.
Yeah, because Search is based out of Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan.
Okay. We have a clinic in Haynes.
Okay, the distribution, I believe, happens out of those 3. So they mail coupons to folks.
For the WIC,
for WIC.
but then the seniors, it's like through the senior center?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes.
How many of your markets are offering matching bucks for SNAP and matching bucks then for your WIC?
We have done that, but we aren't doing it anymore.
Did you offer matching bucks? Did that work well or no?
It worked,
It did, yeah.
yeah, for the WIC, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you
You just said that.
So there was a grant for a while, it's ended now, that they were giving funds to markets to double people's SNAP benefits. So like you come with your SNAP card and we can match it for $20. So your $20 between $40 at the farmer's market. The grant is since expired. but-
In our town, we, like Alina Health matched it. So you can go to, you can do hospitals. And then last year, we passed a law that is shifting $650,000 matching grants to SNAP. So you can do it two ways. You can do it legislatively, and you can get any company, that has health in their background to do the matching.
So at our market this year, we actually, the board of directors earmarked some marketing funds specifically for that. So we're put $3,000 towards this season's matching. And so we're doing it ourselves.
And that was within the local management, that wasn't in the state funding.
No, it's just out of,
Support that system.
right. So we were trying to encourage less advantaged folks to eat the food that we have.
And this year, Homer ran into the same problem with having lost the matching grant. So we've been without it for a couple of years, so we have the stats.
Yeah.
And you can see how our SNAP program is going up and then totally go because it doesn't benefit people to come down.
So we've got people on the phone that could talk more about that.
That's great.
So
But
let me just.
well, this could do with SNAP too, or SNAP or WIC.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure everybody knows other options. You can have a financial sponsor, like a hospital or something, but we did a GoFundMe thing. And we're getting it matched. So the funds that we need to match those. So there are options for that.
That'd make me happy
There are
too.
also nonprofit foundations around the country that also match for that program, for a double coupon program, you can get some foundation money.
Do you have a list?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
I
get
know
that.
at least one.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to run through the rest of this so we can make sure that we talk about SNAP and EBT. So for farmers, why it's a win for you, we're creating customers, we're bringing people to you, probably people who probably wouldn't come to you even if they didn't have these free money to spend. Again, it's also people who have never tasted fresh produce, potentially. So we are trying to get them, come to your market, buy locally grown. You guys win there, they win nutritionally, and it helps their family. It's a perk, it's a special event. Farmers markets are fun. Go to a farm, pick your own stuff. It's fun. It's good activity for kids. And if you are looking for coupons, or if you know someone who could potentially be eligible, give me a call. I'll get them in touch with an office form to get those coupons. If you're a food security or state's agent rep, we should talk, obviously. And this morning I wrote a little note that Amy said that if $5 a week is spent by Alaskans, we could build like $188 million. We're trying to create a little boost in that number as well. So we're all after the same thing. Who's feeling that post-lunch dip right over there? It's too warm in here, too comfy. Okay, so if you are a farmer, I do have application packets, a farmer and a farmer's market manager. I've got 2 different applications. Also got a little flyer up here for the EBT SNAP program, which we'll hand out later. If you are interested in applying, just give me your application by June 15th, and it should be good to go. It's pretty easy.
Will you explain a little bit of the difference between signing up as a farmer and signing up as a market manager?
Sure. So the farmers are the ones that can accept coupons. The market managers apply to get their farmers market advertised to our WIC participants and help us educate the farmers at your market. We try to keep it simple. We try to keep it,
So,
yes.
so me as the manager, also a farmer, would you recommend that I apply as a farmer? Or would you?
I say both.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Because another part of our grant is we have to have a state match, which means the state has to invest a certain percentage of the overall program costs. And the way that we do that is through in-kind contributions. And I can count some of your expenses as a market manager as in-kind contributions. And without that, I don't know if the state would front the money to cover that percentage. So I need market managers so I can ask you how much you spent throughout the season so I can use that as an in-kind contribution to keep this program going.
So if you're a farmer and you don't have a farmer's market in your community, but maybe you just sell to your neighbors, or maybe you have a little farm stand, you'd be eligible.
Yes. Okay. If you sell directly to consumers, you're available 3 hours a week, and you grow at least 33% of the produce you sell, you're practically authorized already. You just have
CSA, if you have a CSA?
Not yet. We haven't figured out how to make that work.
3 hours a week every week?
Yes, once a week, 3 hours a week. Yes.
And do you have a minimum amount of farmers that have to be WIC approved at a farmer's market to make it? Just one?
Yeah. Because we know our farmers markets are kind of small in some areas, right? We try not to put too strict of rules. Just the minimum rules. That works for me because that's less I have to enforce.
So the market manager being approved doesn't mean that I can accept it for other vendors, right?
Right.
The vendors themselves have to be.
Yes. Yes.
And how time consuming is that process?
The application process?
Well, I mean, there's the application, but somebody brings their coupons, then what?
You treat it like cash.
Transaction.
You treat it like cash.
And then
Get
they
a
turn
special
it into you,
stamp,
correct? You take it
and
to
you
the
stamp
bank.
it and give it to the bank.
You just deposit it in the bank like a check, or.
The whole process as a vendor is really easy. Getting signed up, it's really easy.
What
Erin's
about
great.
as the manager, the market manager, what's the time frame on that? Like reporting or?
Nope.
What's?
Nope. Just if your farmers have questions about it, help us answer them.
Cool.
That's really easy.
What was the deadline again for the application?
June 15th.
June 15th.
All right. So we're going to skip this because we're going to go through that. If you're interested, there's a 25th anniversary of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs annual conference. Last year, I coordinated it. I brought it to Alaska. It was in Juneau. Yay us. Yeah. We got on the map. The governor made a little speech. Danny was there. Megan was there. This year, I'm also planning another one. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. There's going to be a lot of USDA presence, so if there's some kind of agenda you want to push, they're going to be there. All right. And then, again, another picture of myself. With Fairbanks, Tanana Valley. Farmers Market.
Oh.
Add a baby on it. Add a baby. Okay. All right, ladies, are you still there?
Yeah.
Hi, Erin. Yes, this is Stacy, and I realized I lost presenter status. If you could give that back to me, and then I can sign.
Well, yeah, because I was presenter.
Great.
Oh. Someone help.
Yeah.
Are you looking to change presenter?
Yeah.
Right click
Usually
on
it-
the user ID.
Usually it comes up. Where did you say?
Right click on that.
Change role. Presenter. IT. Sorry, what?
I said we're in business. I'm going to load my presentation right now.
Okay, sounds good. Were you able to hear our audience?
I can't hear I hear like bits and pieces of questions, so it'd be great if you could repeat the question for us to make sure we got it.
Sounds good. I will do that.
But definitely feel good. Yeah, keep the conversation. So, hi everybody. I am just getting set up here. Okay, so I'm Casey O'Brien, and there's a picture of me since I'm not there in the room, unfortunately. we weren't able to make the trip up to Alaska this time, but I hear it's a pretty awesome meeting, so I'm sorry to miss it. I am the team lead for our nutrition education and program access team here in the USDA Food Nutrition Service in the Western region. So our office is out of San Francisco. We oversee our food programs in the 8 Western states and the Pacific Territory. So we have a very large region, of which Alaska is one of our states. I am fairly new to the role, and to be honest, we had an amazing person, Brenda Matuma, who I don't know if anybody's familiar with her in the room, doing our farmers market work. So I relied on her heavily over the last 9 months, and she recently moved into a new role. So I'm very new to this sort of presentation, new to this audience, so I appreciate in advance your understanding and flexibility. I also have a 15-month-old daughter. I kind of wish I threw in a picture of her to help introduce myself as well. I didn't get to see the picture of Erin's son. But our learning objectives today, so I really for you to piggybacking off of all Erin was saying about the importance of the WIC Farmers Market Program is to really understand why food stamps or SNAP, I'll use those terms interchangeably. I think you call it food stamps in Alaska. I'll probably default to SNAP, so I'm used to calling it, is important at farmers markets. To understand, we're going to go a little bit deeply into the application process for farmers markets to accept SNAP. To accept EBT at farmers markets, so you can get a sense of what you'll be facing if you're going to be applying and what's required. And then also for you to know some of the resources that exist to support SNAP at farmers markets as well. So first, why go to the trouble of accepting SNAP at your farmers market? First, it's really a two-pronged answer, and the first is with SNAP customers. We at our agency have really been putting an emphasis on making or getting more farmers markets authorized to really increase access to locally grown produce for our SNAP eligible population. Also piggybacking off what Erin was saying, farmers markets are fun places to be, so it's really opening up a new setting for SNAP participants to take part in cooking demos and, food budgeting trainings and classes on canning. I mean, you guys know your market. And really opening up your market to be a more welcoming environment for SNAP recipients. Why from the farmer side perspective and from, the state of Alaska's perspective? Obviously, this is opening up your market to a new customer base. So it's also allowing to play a bigger role in healthy food access for all Alaskans. If you have a strong program in place, it can really increase your economic return as well as your reputation within the community. And I just pulled up the numbers for Alaska. Currently, through the end of federal fiscal year 2016, so that would have been back in September 2016, there were 25 farmers markets authorized in Alaska, and over the course of the year, there were $50,000 in redemptions through SNAP. And obviously, with more markets, that number will go up as well. Which types of products? So this here is just to say that, often I think when we talk about farmers markets, you guys know this, people think fresh fruits and vegetables, but really, we define farmers markets as anything that's 2 or more farmers or producers that sell their own agricultural products directly to the general public at a fixed location. So if you meet that definition, then you will be applying as a farmer's market to be able to accept EBT. And these products can be more than just fruits and vegetables. It includes meat, fish, poultry, dairy, and grain products as well. And obviously in Alaska with the short growing season, this comes in more into play. I think a lot of one of the biggest redeemers in Alaska that farmers markets is accepting SNAP is primarily a fish market. So, that said, there are a couple things that EBT cards cannot be used for. So SNAP participants can't use their EBT cards to buy anything that's prepared and or hot foods, and that's really getting at the idea that anything that's meant to be eaten on site can't be, you can't use your EBT card for that. Second is any non-food items, and that includes alcohol and tobacco. So those are all things that will not be able to use. SNAP participants will not be able to use your EBT card for. So now moving into the how. So I don't think it should be any surprise that a government form is not very fun to fill out. And unfortunately, you know, even though we're putting a large emphasis on getting farmers markets to apply to accept SNAP, we aren't able to really make the application super friendly. So that's why we put a lot of resources into breaking down the application, doing presentations like this, making ourselves available for direct technical assistance in filling it out. So I'm going to give you a quick overview in terms of each piece of the application and you know, what information what documents you're going to need and what information you're going to need when you fill it out. But by no means are you alone once you sit down at the computer to fill it out. It is an online application. Absolutely reach out to your state agency and to SNS directly even to get assistance and make sure you're filling it out correctly the first time so we can help you expedite the process. And so the application process really has 4 steps. First, you're going to complete and submit the online store application to become authorized to participate in the program. And so that, we'll get there in a second. So there's an online application for stores and for farmers markets. Second, the application is then reviewed and approved by our SNS Retail Operations Division. And actually, I was remiss to say, today, since I am fairly new, and this is more of our Retail Operations Division territory, Mary Berkusek from our Retail Operations Division is also on the line. So if you guys have any detailed questions about the application, you'll be able to chime in. So thanks for joining us, Mary. So Retail Operations will help you with the application. Retail Operations Division will ultimately review it and approve it. Third, your state department is able to provide support for actually getting free or low-cost EBT machinery at your farmer's market. So that's the third step. And the fourth step, because that's what actually allows you to then accept SNAP. The first 2 steps is getting your SNAP license, and then you'll want to make sure you're set up with the system and with the EBT machinery to actually accept SNAP. And then fourth, external partners can help provide information on market match programs, you know, how to market to SNAP clients to let them know that you know accept EBT, and really ways to increase that redemption rate at your market. And so you're going to be hearing from the Farmers Market Coalition next, and they're one of those external partners that can really help in that realm. So first, let's talk about the required documentation. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because, you know, it can be a little dry, but this is just, again, to give you a sense of what's required. So if your market is a for-profit, privately held entity, you're going to need a photo ID of the designated signee as well as a social security card of the designated signee. If your market's a nonprofit with federal tax exempt status, you'll need the photo ID of the designated signer. If the signer is the executive director of the nonprofit, then you do not need a social security number. If they are not the executive director of the market, then you will need both the social security number and the photo ID, as well as a copy of your IRS tax exempt letter to prove your tax exempt status, which is pretty common for federal forms. If your market's nonprofit but doesn't have tax exempt status, then again, you're going to need both that photo ID and the social security card. If your market is government or city owned, you'll need the photo ID of the designated signer. But because the signer will be a city official, no social security card is required, or social security number has to be provided. And again, you'll need that copy of the IRS tax exempt letter stating the city's tax exempt status. So those are the documents you need. So that you know, at most, you'll need the social security card and the photo ID, and then a tax exempt status if you meet if you're in one of those categories of either nonprofit or city government. So now moving into, you know, you've got your documents, you sit down to fill out the online application. And catch up with my notes here. So in this case, so if you meet the this is where you're going to choose your status. So if you meet that definition of farmer's market, you choose the farmer's, make sure you choose the farmer's market application. If you do not, if you're a direct marketing farmer or you don't meet that definition of a farmer's market, you're going to choose the store application. And so here it is, on this slide, the farmer's market option is highlighted in green. So this is where you're kind of choosing your adventure. The first thing is pretty simple. It's just an acknowledgement, agreement page. So you'll read through these things, the Privacy Act, information on disclosure, et cetera. Warning statement on penalties. And obviously you have to accept it to be able to move forward, just like most online forms these days. Then we'll move into the basic information, and you're going to start by submitting information about your designating your farmers market responsible officials. And responsible officials are really taking on the responsibility of ensuring that SNAP is operated correctly at the market. And if, anything where if there are any violations, it falls to both the organization as well as the responsible officials in terms of liability. And so, in a more positive spin, that means the responsible official is really in charge of making sure that, all employees, all volunteers, et cetera, are trained in how to correctly operate the ABC operation and to avoid fraud. In terms of more of the basic information, it's pretty straightforward. So your store opening date, and if you're opening a new farmer's market, you can submit this application up to 30 days before the start date. The store name, supporting organizations, address, etc. Accountability information comes next. So on this page, you will be providing information to maintain program integrity. So again, this is where you'll need that social security number, as well as a series of yes/no questions on any prior crimes, program violations, denial of licenses, etc. And if there's any yes answers, that's where we're going to be asking you some follow-up information. Doesn't necessarily disqualify you, just where we're asking more information. From there, we'll move into the sales information. And so these three categories are required. We'll want to know if you're selling any product wholesale, so direct to businesses, like hospitals or restaurants. And then we'll also want to know the percentage of prepared or hot foods that are sold at the market, as well as the total retail sales for the market. And again, none of these things will disqualify you from being able to accept SNAP. This might just prompt a retail operations division to ask more follow-up questions in their approval or in their review of the application. So then moving into the next section, we're going to be asking for more details about your actual food inventory, so what's offered at your market. And again, you'll be asked a series of mostly yes or no questions. And this is because SNAP has requirements around the amount of staple food inventory that's available at a SNAP authorized retail location. And so most farmers markets, this isn't a problem. We're just going to be making sure that there's enough variety of, bread, grains, dairy, fruits, vegetables, meat, poultry, fish, etc., or that at least 50% of your total retail sales are coming from these staple foods. And that's generally how most markets qualify. Supplemental information. So here, again, this is fairly straightforward. You'll be asked about, how is your store open year-round, store hours, history of program violations, and ownership of any other SNAP authorized locations. And so that completes the brief overview of the application. But I don't want you to get bogged down in the forms. Again, we're definitely here to help. We want to help. We recognize that some of the terms aren't necessarily friendly for people. But this isn't their everyday government speak. So please reach out for help. And for us, it's really and for all of us, it's really getting once you're authorized, it's more about the increasing redemption. So, making sure that we're reaching our end customer. And so, don't let the application stop you from getting involved. And the next step would really be to start working with local partners and state partners to ensure that SNAP recipients actually shop at your newly authorized market. So last section here is going to move into some resources. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, so I want to make sure Farmers Market Coalition has time. But again, so going through the application, that was step 1 and 2 of the 4 steps. Step 3 was really acquiring machinery. And so that's when you can reach out to your state to figure out how to get free or low-cost EBC machinery, as well as for them to help you figure out a system for accepting EBCs that really works for your market. And then there are lots of resources in terms of marketing EBC, which you're going to hear about in a moment, and day-to-day operations. And then the last thing that I did, no, here it is one of the best practices in terms of increasing redemptions, getting SNAP eligible participants to your market are really incentive programs. And so often these are run at the state level, privately funded, so not federal funds. This is like a market match program, which I'm sure some of you in the room are familiar with. These are just logos from various market match programs across the country. But Alaska does not currently have one. I know that they did through 2012, I believe. But this is not to stop you from, in your local community, county, to consider, finding a way to potentially fund an incentive program. So really, what it does is it allows you to match every SNAP dollar that's spent at some market. So someone who has, say, $10 can come up and say, I want to spend $10 on my EBC card today at the market. And you can say, okay, well, here's your $10, $10 in coins or scripts or whatever for SNAP, and here's a matching amount through our matching program to really help incentivize the purchase of fresh fruits and vegetables. The federal way of doing a market match program is through our FINI grants, or Food Insecurity Nutrition Incentive Program. And there's 3 different types of projects that can apply. So pilot projects, multi-year community-based projects, and large-scale projects. So if you're interested in the FINI grant, reach out. I believe this year's cycle is closed, but again, this is the way that it would be federally funded. And lastly, I just want to remind you again, SNS is definitely here to help. I know, so Brenda Matuma is in the photo with the multiple people, all the way to the left. And she did an excellent job of literally sitting on the phone and walking people through the application whenever was needed. So our new staff member who will be assuming that role is Megan Mason, and so definitely feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Megan, and we can help walk you through the application and help you not spin your wheels and have to, reapply or answer too many follow-up questions. So with that, I just want to remind you that SNAP is an excellent way to help improve food security in your community, increase food access, as well as your profits. And then definitely reach out for assistance, whether it be with the application, to get free EBC machines, or to better understand some of the grants and incentive programs that exist as well. And with that, my contact information is on the bottom. I know that was a lot of information, and I hate when I can't read the room, so thank you for bearing with me. And I will let you guys, I'll let Erin decide about is there any questions right now, or do you want to talk about Mary?
Hey Casey, thank you. During your presentation, I saw some people, the effects of lunch take effect. So we passed around some candy. Hopefully it perked them up. Do you guys have any questions? Or actually, can I ask a question first? How many people can accept SNAP at their market currently? So, man. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9.
I have a question. Are you meaning our the market or the vendors?
Could be either.
Yeah, our vendors accept it, but our market doesn't.
Okay. So about half, maybe half of you guys. half
Oh,
of
excellent.
the, yeah.
Great,
so
yeah,
that's-
and I should have started with that, but it's weird not being in the room. I apologize again.
It's okay. So does anybody have any
Yeah.
questions for Casey? Yes.
We applied last year and we are not a registered 501c3, and so we got to the point of the application where they asked us to get a letter from vendors like confirming that we were actually the directors of the market, but then there was a lot of talk about liability and that freaked us out, and so we didn't complete the rest of our application. I guess if she could speak to what that liability looks like, if you're kind of just an individual doing it, if that was silly of us to not complete it, or if it makes more sense to wait till we are in a better position.
So your market has kind of a free, like,
We're essentially a registered nonprofit corporation without 501c3 status.
okay. Casey, did you hear any of that?
A little bit. So there are 501c3,
No.
so you are nonprofit, but you don't have 501c3 status.
And the question
Correct.
about what is the liability rules?
Yeah, the paperwork looked heavy, and so we didn't complete it.
So the paperwork for the liability looked a little intimidating, so they didn't complete it. Do you have any comments on
Yeah, I think this is one where I completely encourage you to reach out to us. I think that this is again where the government speak can be more intimidating than it necessarily needs to be. And I don't think your status your status as a business should really keep you from completing the application process. I'm happy to follow up with more information. I could touch base with Brenda because I'm sure she's gotten this question before. Mary, I don't know if you have any comments.
If they're talking about just the becoming a 501c3 with the IRS rules, I know I have heard comments from people saying that they can't make that, they're not that type of corporation or organization. But that should not stop you from applying, like Casey said, as for your farmer's market. You would just have to apply as a private nonprofit, even though you may be nonprofit, you would just be applying just as a regular kind of a corporation or association, and you would have to then supply the social security card number and obviously photo ID for the operator, the owner, the most responsible person, the director, whatever you, president of your organization. And you should still be encouraged to apply if that's what they were talking about.
Okay, and Heidi has a follow-up.
Yes, when we looked into this last year under similar circumstances with a new, rather informally organized market, it seemed as if one person needs to take this responsibility and then report that income and outgo on their personal taxes. That's what I understood.
Yes,
And
that
that's
was the
for an entire market?
It was like for all the SNAP, like everything that was in the team, we would have to take personal liability for.
Regardless of who the visitor was? Oh, God.
So that was my question.
So there was a comment made that if the one person who signed for responsibility for the market had to claim it on their own personal taxes.
Both the income and the expenses, so
The
it
income
zeroes
and
out, but
expenses.
it's still, it's a personal responsibility for that person who represents the market.
Well, usually a corporation or a person or an organization or some type of association is going to have a separate EIN number. And then they wouldn't be, that would be separate for that organization or that association, and they wouldn't then be claiming things on their own personal, their own personal income. Because it should be income, for whatever organization they started, if they, whatever they call themselves,
And the EIN number is a tax thing, right? So
Yeah, an EIN number would be a tax thing, but that EIN number usually doesn't belong to a person. It belongs to like a corporation or an association or whatever
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it is a partnership. Now, if it is a partnership but they would have an EIN number, if that would belong to that one entity. It wouldn't belong to I don't think it would belong to a person, but those are IRS rules, those are not,
Okay.
those are not, you know, those are not our rules. Our rules are just that if you are the 501c3, then you will have to provide an EIN number, but you won't have to provide your social security number.
Okay, so do we have one more question before we move on? We have one more presentation for the free SNAP EBT program. Yeah? Okay, all right, let's move on. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Casey, do you know how to transfer it over to May?
Yes, doing it right now. Although I think May. Yeah, that's good.
There we go.
Okay. Maya, are you there?
I am here. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna have y'all bear with me 1 second. Okay, can y'all see
We have a split
my
screen.
full screen PowerPoint by chance? So you still see it with the and like admin view with the slides on the left hand side?
Yeah, we see all that.
Alright, you might just have to do that.
Well, we can see your presentation on the
Alright.
left and your PowerPoint on the right. We see duplicate.
Okay. Say that again, Tom?
We see duplicate screens. Like you have two monitors, we can see both of them. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is May Carroll and I'm the Farmers Market Coalition SNAP Program Manager. I'm here to tell y'all a little bit about the Free SNAP EBT Equipment Program, which is a program that I administer, and also tell you a little bit about the resources available on our site to kind of build off the SNAP authorization that Casey just told y'all about. Wonderful. Okay, so there are 3 basic steps to running a successful SNAP program at your market. The first should be exactly what Casey told you about, becoming an authorized SNAP retailer through USDA. This can either be done through their website or attending assignment day. I don't know, Erin, if y'all have assignment days in Alaska, that's where you can actually, a ROD staffer, so that a staffer will come and register you on site. Otherwise, and again, Casey and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, the SNS does give about 40 days on the high end for a turnaround. So just keep that in mind if you do the application in anticipation of the 2017 season to give yourself a nice little bit of wiggle room there. The second step is to actually obtain the equipment, which is what I'm going to talk about next. And the final step is to conduct outreach and promotion to inform SNAP customers that they actually are able to use their benefits at your market. Great. So FMC's Free SNAP EBT Equipment Program has partnered with 3 preferred service providers to make available 6 different equipment options, some of which are pictured here. FMC will cover the cost of purchasing or renting SNAP EBT equipment and services to include setup costs, monthly service fees, and wireless fees for up to 3 years. But note that the program is not able to cover transaction fees for SNAP credit or debit payments yet. Before you apply, let's walk through the eligibility criteria. The first criteria here, under which you might be eligible, is if you do not currently possess functioning EBT equipment. So this might mean that you just received your SNAP authorization and don't yet have equipment, or it might mean that you purchased equipment at some point in the past, but it no longer functions in a way that enables you to accept EBT transactions. We had that one in particular pop up a lot with our kind of first in field market. So if you were like the first market in Alaska to accept SNAP and you have one of those really old brick Verifone terminals and it only works like 1 out of every 10 times, then that is not a functioning piece of EBT equipment and you can't rely on it to process transactions at your market. So definitely reach out to us and we will kind of help you figure out how to answer those questions in the application, because we want everyone to have equipment in hand that enables them to have every transaction work every market day. So the second criteria under which you might be eligible is if you currently have functioning EDC equipment, but you received that equipment before May 2nd of 2012. Note that we are only able to approve direct marketing farmers who participate in at least one farmer's market. So, looking at the steps, we are able to provide equipment to both farmers markets and direct marketing farmers who participate in at least one farmer's market. But for that, we utilize the USDA definition of a farmer's market that's in the very bottom of the screen in the palette. To allow 2 or more farmer producers that sell their own agricultural products directly to the general public at a fixed location, which includes fruit, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, dairy products, and grain. And then it's also available on the farmers market portion of the USDA website at usda.gov/farmers market. Great, so let's take a quick moment to walk through the equipment options that are available. You'll see that we have smart device options through both Market Link and Merchant Stores, and the traditional kind of square or pair phone options available through both Merchant Stores and Fusion. For these next 2 slides, we have screenshots of the service provider consistency matrix that we have available on our website at farmersmarketcoalition.org/EBT-service-provider. This incredibly useful and detailed guide will help you answer important questions that your market or farm might have before selecting your provider. Some of these questions should include, will you use cell service or wireless to process transactions at your market? If you plan to use cell service, which provider has the strongest signal in your area? This is particularly a helpful question for the more rural market, where cell service might be sparse and good coverage might be limited to only one provider. Third, how durable do you need your terminal to be? And finally, how comfortable are you or your volunteers with technology? So obviously the verifying options have, might be easier for some people to work through, whereas the smartphone options for those people who are more comfortable with technology might not present any barrier and might also open up the opportunity for farm managers or farmers market volunteers to also take surveys or do data tracking at their market. So we encourage you to put real thought into the selection of your service provider and invite you to reach out to them directly if you have questions that aren't answered on our site. The contact info for each of the providers is listed provided matrix here, and again, the whole thing is available on our site. Finally, at the very bottom here, we have calculated the expected cost of the equipment and service for your market in year 4. Remember that the % EDC government program is for your program and that your market will be responsible for this cost in year 4 and beyond. Finally, for examples and case studies on how other markets found ways to offset the year 4 and beyond costs, I encourage you to look back at a resource library that I will mention later. Awesome. So let's walk through the process of applying to the percent EBT equipment program. The first thing you want to do is navigate to fmttoolbox.org. And before you apply, you're going to have both your SMS number in hand as well as a completed W-9. Once you apply and FMT is able to verify your eligibility with SMS, we will release your approval number to the email on your application. The email that we send out will have further instructions on how to contract with one of our preferred service providers and also information about the next steps in terms of alerting us about receiving the equipment and also the end of year survey. As you contract with a service provider, they will invoice us, so invoice FMC, and release the equipment to you. The only thing we ask is that once you receive the equipment in the mail, you let us know that it got there, so don't worry about it getting lost or falling off the back of the UPS truck or whatever. And then at the end of the calendar year, like I mentioned, we will send out a very short, about 10 to 15 question survey, just for you to let us know about the usage and impact of the FNS funded EBT terminal. These are really important, and kind of help us track trends, help us track the impact that doing outreach or having double dollar programs actually have on the amount of SNAP dollars that you receive. So these aren't very long. It's really the only reporting requirement that exists for this program, and we really appreciate everyone who fills them out. Finally, if you don't already have a full W-9, there is a link to a downloadable copy on the very first page of the application. Okay, so now I want to walk quickly through the resources available on our website for both farmers and markets who run the SNAP program. Under the resources drop-down menu at farmersmarketcoalition.org, you'll see the option to view the webinars that we have previously recorded and make available for free to our members. At the very end of last month, we also held a, not totally similar, but a lot of the same spiel, SNAP-related webinar that talked a bit about the program we're talking about now, and also highlighted the success stories and best practices coming out of the Farmers Market SNAP Support Grant. Our upcoming webinars include information on the Farm Bill that will be coming up very soon, and how to win a pop plug for kids at your markets. For those of you who aren't familiar, Pop Plug is the Power of Produce. It is an incredibly powerful program that originated out of, either Oregon or Washington, and it essentially provides kids with dollars to shop at markets and, have agency over their eating decisions, and it means that they actually eat the fruits and vegetables that are purchased there, and particularly hearing stories that come out of that. So that webinar will kind of walk market managers through how to set up their own program. We frequently host webinars, particularly during the kind of height of the farmers market season. So definitely refer back to this page frequently. And you can also keep an eye on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts so that you don't miss any of the trainings or other kind of informative events that we host throughout the season. Okay, and then further on that resources tab, we have lots of documents and downloadable kind of PDFs and fillable forms to help you with your SNAP outreach and other kind of general market management. One of the things that we do very well, in addition to hosting trainings and doing our own kind of meta nationwide best practices, is kind of our sub-motto is don't reinvent the wheel. So what we do is we take all of these forms and all of these outreach materials from very well-resourced markets and market management organizations throughout the country, put them all in one place, and enable smaller markets. Maybe you only have volunteer staff, you only have one part-time market manager. Make it available to them so that they don't need to go out and figure out how to use Microsoft Publisher or how to use Adobe Design to figure out how to create these on their own. So I highly encourage you, especially if you have a new SNAP program, to take a look on our site, take a look at these resource guides, and consider either using directly or modeling your own resources and materials around what already exists out there in the market community. The second resource that I want to draw your attention to is the SNAP Guide for Farmers Markets, again, under that resource tab. So this comprehensive guide walks markets through starting at the SNAP at Market program and gives examples on things like how to set up your accounting, how to, again, do your outreach materials, and also how to train your vendors on what it means to accept SNAP, what it means to accept dollars, and how to differentiate between how much it can be spent if your market has such differentiation. If your market has an established program and you think we already have these logistics totally covered, that's awesome. And we also love it if you share your materials with us to make available for smaller markets or those with less capacity. Again, we're all about sharing resources, reducing whatever burdens we can for our members, and again, not reinventing the wheel. Finally, one more thing to keep an eye out on our website is the informative guidance we have about the impacts and successes of the Farmers Market SNAP Support Grant. These grants were distributed by SNS to help markets increase the redemption of SNAP benefits at market. and awardees of these grants ran really unique programs, and they were really excited to be able to talk about the methods and results and kind of the impacts and again the increased redemption rates they saw based on their unique or different outreach methods. And that is it. That is, I talked very quickly, I know. So what I can do is send this PowerPoint around. If the conference team wants to make it available, we're happy to have it available to y'all. And my contact information is in the very bottom here. May at farmersmarketcoalition.org, which you can use directly. ABT at farmersmarketcoalition.org is the email address of the Food Snap ABT Equipment Program. And that gets kind of first caught by the program associate named Anna Hansen. Finally, on the right-hand side here is the application website again. So it is fnctoolbox.org. That is all I have for y'all today. I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to be in Alaska with y'all right there. And again, I'm happy to stay on the line to take questions or hop off and kind of go to someone else.
Thank you, May. I know it's break time here, but if anybody has any questions, you can just hold tight and we can ask. Does anybody have any questions? No. I know it's gotta love the state government.
A lot of information on the website. Yeah. Yes. Tell May she's got a great website.
Yes, May, you have a great website.
I want to put a plug in for this. The Homer Farmers Market got equipment last year. Super easy application. It just takes a while to get through and to get it all set up. But it supports us for 3 years and we get to keep the machine. So.
And you do have to get tokens. This doesn't work at a market level without tokens, right?
We are doing a non-token system. We're doing receipts. So if you want to hear more about that, we can talk to you about that. I will say that, funny story, we thought our equipment was broken for a whole market, and then we realized we were going to charge the swiper.
Oh, yeah.
So how many people have gone through the free EBT? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So cool.
Oh, awesome.
If everyone who was interested in that noticed whose hands went up, go reach to those people and get their testimony. And May and I can help whatever I can do. I don't do the SNAP program, but I can get you in touch with people who do.
If you have vendors that don't have that fees, how do you get your people to accept the fees?
How do you get your farmers to accept the fees?
The fees.
Per
transaction.
The per transaction fees that we deal with, I mean, it's just like a bank charge, so with the income, we work into whatever our assessment is, and we pay all the fees, the farmer's market.
So the farmer's market pays all the fees.
We have been, and the farmers don't have the machines, or we have one, and we did the token thing, so we have little wooden nickels that we hand out, and they can spend $5 million denominations of wooden nickels, but we deal with all of the fees.
And FYI, the free equipment is only for SNAP. For WIC, it's not there yet. We have more requirements, federal regulations that we have to track down to the penny, where every penny was spent. And if you go to a farmer's market and you buy $25 worth of credit or tokens, you can't, I don't know how easy it is for you to identify which farmer redeemed those. Or, because we have to match it 1-to-1. Per every coupon number, I have to identify which farmer it was used at. So we're still working on that. MarketLink, one of the programs, is owned by the association that I'm a member of. So I know about the MarketLink one. There were 2 other options. By the way, May, I did pass out those flyers. If you want to compare those. I can answer questions about MarketLink. The other 2 would probably be best to contact the people on the forum.
I just want to say real quick though, before you're going to go into this and you're all going home, you get it, and the grant is going to make it happen for you, just do think forward 3 years in that it does cost the market money. And like now we're paying for it. We're paying the monthly charge, the service charge, and the thing. So cell phone service, this whole situation. So like, it's a beautiful thing to do for your community. It's a really hard thing to do if you get brought in and then 3 years in it's gone. You know, you get 3 years of your job.
Oh, yeah. One other thing I wanted to point out, if you get this machine, you can run credit cards.
That's right. And
So
debit cards.
at the Homer Farmers Market, we've had it for 6 years. It's increased, doubled every year, where last year we did almost $80,000 in just credit card swipes. So this can help you in multiple ways, and the way we bill it is that it's a service to our vendors. So part of your vendor fees are covering these processing fees and giving you more opportunity to take different currencies.
Do you charge the customer a dollar to swipe?
We don't right now. We did when we first started out. We are gonna reassess that over this season, and then we may have to go back to the vendors, pay a percentage of it, or some combination of covering that cost, because at $80,000, those fees are just going through the roof, but it's giving our vendors way more sales, because some people won't go off-site, use the ATM, they'll just say, screw it, I'm going to Safeway.
Okay. So do you do like a different kind of chip or?
Yeah, we have gold doubloons. They're really fun. They're made by the Alaska Mint, so